Hey, Brian.
Hey, what's up, buddy?
How you doing?
I've been better.
That makes two of us. And by the way, everybody, welcome to episode number 13.
Lucky number 13.
Lucky number 13. And I don't know who's luckier, you guys to listen to this or us tonight for what we watched. This is season 2, episode 2, or episode 13, whichever one you're counting on. But welcome to the Casual Movie Club.
Yeah, this is a show where a couple of friends casually watch a few movies and rate and review them for your listening pleasure.
Right. And we have had something of a first today.
Yeah. Indeed.
Would you like to tell everybody what the first was?
We watched Blues Brothers 2000, and
that's not the first.
That's not the first, but the first was that we couldn't finish the film.
Right. We stopped 37 minutes to the end.
Yeah.
Why did we stop?
Because it's a ridiculous dog shit movie.
Yes. Now,
I don't recommend this movie to anyone.
Oh Lord, neither do I. And where do we begin with this atrocity of a movie? Where in the world? Okay, by the way, if you're ever considering getting into illegal torrenting of movies, I wouldn't even use this as something to torrent.
No, you don't want this sullying your library.
No.
It's currently sullying my library.
Yeah. This is a movie that
I paid money for this, John.
Ooh, yeah. We should have a moment of silence for your. You know what?
I didn't even fucking rent it.
You should.
I bought it.
You should.
I should have rented this. Ugh. If John Landis and Dan Aykroyd my money.
Now, but John Landis and Dan Aykroyd have done far better collaborations, have they not?
Yeah. Yes. And this is by far the worst.
Didn't John Landis direct Clue?
I don't know.
I want to say he directed Clue. Well, Dan Aykroyd wasn't in that, but okay. It's clear that we both hated this movie. I checked out probably in the second song that they did, which, by the way, the songs I think are the only redeeming factor of this movie.
And that's not saying much at all.
No.
God damn, these songs were awful.
Except for Aretha Franklin.
You were right. Well, Aretha Franklin does one of her standbys, one of the, arguably the song that she's most well known for.
Right. She does respect. Now, albeit how they work it into the plot, complete
it just came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Well, let's start from the top here. This is a sequel to the beloved film starring Dan Aykroyd and John Belushi that came out in the 1980s.
Right.
I believe 1982, if I'm not mistaken.
That old? No,
Fact check me on that. But,
yeah, I'm gonna, because I feel like it wasn't that old.
Well, this film came out in 1998, and
I stand corrected. Blues Brothers was 1980.
1980.
Yeah,
okay.
1980. So, Blues Brothers 2000 came out in 1998, actually. So even the title's wrong.
Yeah, Blues Brothers 2000.
Yeah,
released in 98. You're a couple years too soon, guys. Well, this film is supposed to be the sequel to the 1980s film Blues Brothers, starring John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd. And I've seen that movie maybe less than a half dozen times, but I loved it. It was great film. I remember it fondly. I haven't seen it for maybe about 10 years or so, but I've seen it a number of times before that.
I really wish we were doing that one tonight.
I really wish we were also. Apparently,
By the way, let's just take a quick moment. Who picked the movie?
I picked this because I thought it would be funny to do a bad movie, not realizing that it was as bad as it was. Now, I picked Wild Wild West, and that was a movie that you kind of enjoyed.
I loved it.
I hated it. But we
I think it's safe to say
We both enjoyed it, though.
yeah. Wild West. I'm talking about Blues Brothers, though. I think it's safe to say we both completely despise this movie.
Hate it.
Yeah,
Hate it.
absolute atrocity of cinema.
Yeah, this is awful.
Okay, so shall we start from the beginning?
Right. This is apparently takes place 18 years after the first one, because the film opens up with 18 years later, and we've got Elwood Blues, Dan Aykroyd, in prison getting let out, and then he's waiting on the side of the road by the prison, and
For like 2 days,
for at least a day and a half.
right? Because nobody told him that Jake died,
Yes.
which that's just fucked up.
But if I'm not mistaken, I think they both go back to prison at the end of the first movie.
I believe so.
think
Yeah,
they-
because they do like the Jailhouse Rock or something.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm.
So
like,
wouldn't
how,
he
how,
have
how does he
known-
not know?
Yeah, wouldn't he have known his brother kicked the bucket while they were in prison?
Who like
This movie had so many questions.
plot holes?
I mean, this. Okay,
And question.
this-
I have questions.
This was there were so many plot holes. This was plot hole Swiss cheese.
I am angry.
Yeah. Okay. By the way, I don't know what was more fun, watching the bullshit in this movie, or finally getting Brian to cave on pulling the plug on the movie.
Because I wanted to see it through to the end, because
I know.
it just and mostly it was just morbid curiosity, like what would they do next? Because each gag, each fucking unbelievable thing that happens just got more and more crazy.
I will admit, I was a little bit curious. They were like when we pulled the plug at 37 minutes to the end, I was mildly curious to see how it ended,
Yeah.
but not enough to actually spend that 37 minutes of my life.
Yeah, I'm gonna get real drunk and later and watch. If we were drunker, if we had more to drink
Yeah,
and more time,
and more patience, but maybe the patience might come with alcohol.
the patience would definitely come. Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, beginning of the movie.
Elwood gets out of jail, finds out his brother's dead, and stands and waits for who? Because Jake's not coming.
Right.
So why is he standing at the side of the road just still waiting? So the stripper comes up in a car.
In like a Porsche.
In a Porsche, yeah.
Yeah. Picks him up, brings him to
Strip club?
No, she brings him to the hospital, which used to be the orphanage, but now it's a hospital.
Right.
And then that's when he meets up with the kid.
Yeah, that's right. Because the orphanage that they saved at the end of the first movie,
Right.
it's not there anymore. It's a
Right.
fucking hospital.
Right.
So what was the point of the first movie?
Right. And so then he gets paired up with this kid, and the kid is kind of more interesting than Elwood himself.
He's
I
got
will
more.
say that.
He's got more personality.
Right. And by the way, Elwood's character, completely different from the first one.
Well, maybe you could chalk that up to the fact that he spent so much time in prison, 18 years has passed between the first and second movies. Maybe he's grieving over the loss of his dead brother, but Elwood is a legit asshole.
Yes, I would agree with that, but it still doesn't. For me, it still doesn't explain. He looks like the guy that played Elwood. He is wearing the same suit as Elwood from the first one.
Speaks mostly like Elwood.
Right, but just the dialogue, the lines, it just did not remind me at all
No.
of the Elwood from the original Blues Brothers.
Agreed. I didn't.
So,
yeah.
just no. Just no.
So the mother superior, I guess, or the head nun, at this hospital now.
Right.
She hooks him up with Buster, and
Great
tells
name for a
him
kid, great name.
really, and tells him to mentor him for a few days.
That's a brilliant fucking idea.
Yeah. like a known felon out of jail less than 24 hours. Like, oh yeah, mentor this child.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Winds up kidnapping the kid, taking him all over creation.
Basically adds him to the band.
Yeah, as in the band. Why is Elwood? So I know why Jake and Elwood were getting the band back together. They were on a mission from God,
right,
to save the orphanage
in the first one,
where they grew up.
Right.
Elwood gets released from prison, goes to the hospital, formerly the orphanage, and wants to put the band back together.
Why?
Why?
I think it's because he just wanted something to do.
He justifies it to Willie, the strip club owner, saying there's no pharmaceutical rush that can substitute for the feeling you get when the band gets in the groove and the people are on the floor dancing and shouting and the house is rocking and blah, 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 blah. But that doesn't... You can get that any time with pretty much any band. Why does it have to be this specific set of guys?
Right. And not to mention, and as somebody that's been in a band, any self-respecting musician, it's any self-respecting musician would know that you are not in it for the money. You are not doing this for the money. You're doing this for the thrill of it all and the feeling of the band getting in the groove and the live entertainment and everything. But everyone that's in a band that I know has day jobs and they pay their bills some other way and they do this just for fun.
Oh, I see what you're saying now. Okay, yeah.
Elwood is hyping this all up like this is going to be their career and it's like going to be their big break. But
yes,
what are they doing?
Because when fucking Elwood, asshole, causes Willie's strip club to get burned down by Russian mobsters. And then he goes on to say... oh, Mac, you don't have a job anymore. You used to be a bartender at Willie's. Kid, you don't have a job. Willie, now he doesn't have a job. The band could be our jobs.
And by the way, the kid, let's just say, is 10 years old.
10 years old.
So,
yes.
Of course, he needs a job.
The kid doesn't need a job.
Fuck school, right?
The kid needs to go back to the hospital where you kidnapped him from.
Right.
God damn it. Fuck this movie.
Oh, and let's not forget, by the way, how they got their car. Okay,
shit.
Cab Calloway from the original one apparently had a son, played by Joe Morton in this one. I had no idea Joe Morton could even sing. That was cool.
I don't even know who Joe Morton was.
Joe Morton was he played that Illinois cop.
Oh, I know
State
who he
Trooper.
Was in context of the film.
Oh, okay,
Blues Brothers, but 2000, but I don't.
Right.
Don't know him from anything else.
Okay, he's been in a few other things. Like he was in Speed. He played the captain, the head police guy in Speed.
Okay,
Speed's like one of my favorite movies, even though it's cheesy as hell. But it's one of my.
We should do that. That's a great movie. That's not cheesy.
It is. It is a good movie, isn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe we should make up for that for this week.
Hey.
By doing anyway.
Anything
we'll
get
to
later.
This. Yeah. I get to pick movie next week.
Yes. Please. Please.
So what the hell was I saying? So
Joe Morton.
Yeah, so Joe Morton is the nerdy cop, and he and Elwood goes to see him right after he gets out of prison, and basically just shows up there, asks him for $500 to get this old police car,
this old Ford car,
Ford Crown Vic, yeah,
painted like a cop car,
right? Which that's kind of an homage to the original Blues Brothers,
yeah,
right? Okay, so that's fine, and of course the kid lifts Joe Morton's wallet. Mm-hmm. Which I was like, that's slick. Okay. So now we know the kid's a pickpocket. And of course, he just happens to have 5 $100 bills in his wallet.
Yeah. And I can forgive that. As ridiculous as it is,
yeah,
compared to everything else that goes on in the shit show, I can forgive the coincidence of the $500 that he needs.
This movie is rife with coincidences that don't belong.
Oh my God, I can't wait to talk about some of this other bullshit.
Oh, I know. So finally he gets, so they get the car, they convince the other people to go back together. And by the way, I just find it hilarious that, Aretha Franklin's husband, who was the guitar player,
Joe Guitar is what he called him.
Whatever the hell his name is. They just happen to run a Mercedes dealership.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, fine. And then, Aretha does Respect, which I think was that was one of the highlights for me.
Yes, that was the best song that we had seen up to everything that we'd seen in the movie. But that song came out of nowhere.
Yes.
Honestly,
came out of complete nowhere, and all of the songs in the original Blues Brothers fit with the plot.
Happened organically,
a lot more closely. I mean, again, it's been a while since I've seen the original Blues Brothers, so I know I may be missing a few things, but at least all of the songs that happened in the original Blues Brothers, they fit pretty damn close with the plot. You know, like Aretha Franklin when she did "Think." You know, she was talking to her husband and being like, "You better think about what you're doing." Then she went right into song. Like that works.
It worked so well.
It worked, and then she just says to him, "You got to treat me with respect," and he's like, "I know, baby."
But
and then
back up, John. Like what's the setup to this conversation? Elwood shows up, talks to Guitar Joe, and then says, "I want you to bring you back on the road with me." Aretha shows up and is like, "I don't trust you, Elwood. Guitar Joe, we talked about this. You wouldn't hang out with Elwood anymore, and you wouldn't get into any trouble anymore." And then just launches into respect. We weren't talking about respect and any lack of respect to you, Aretha.
I thought she had one line. I thought she had one line about it. Maybe I misheard. Maybe I wanted her to have one line.
It just came out of nowhere. And again, best performance of the movie.
Of the 2/3 of the movie that we saw, that was the best performance.
But it just came out of nowhere. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah. And to her credit, by the way, this was a unique performance to the movie. It wasn't her lip syncing to the original. And by the way, the lip syncing in this movie was horrendous. Like horrendous. Especially during the...
anytime Dan Aykroyd had a song. And speaking of...
He sang some of it, though. He sang, like, when they were doing the Rawhide or the thing at the country fair, he was singing that.
Maybe he was singing it, but the lip syncing, didn't match up most of the time.
Some of the lip syncing was just completely wrong.
The songs went on forever. It wasn't just like a sample of a song that maybe you could hear the full song later buying the soundtrack from Columbia Records or whatever the fuck ever. Like, it wasn't just like verse, chorus, okay, moving the story along.
Right.
It was verse, chorus, verse, chorus. It was a full fucking song.
Unnecessarily so.
Full songs, 3-4 minutes a piece.
And some of those songs were awful.
Oh, the Fox song? I want Fox.
God, I'm looking for a fox. I'm looking for...
We're at the strip club, and Elwood shows up and just says, "Hey, Willie, I'm back from jail. Want to put the band back together?" And Willie's like, "You know what? No, I like my club right here. I like my patrons. I'm making enough money. My life's pretty good, Elwood."
And it seemed like he was running a legitimate business.
Now the Russian mob comes along, and I gotta pay them for protection, so they won't beat me up, but they'll protect me from anybody else who would want to try to rob me too. Right. It sucks, but it's the price I got to pay for doing business, and I'm comfortable and happy.
Right.
Elwood comes along and says, "Nah, I'm gonna work here. I'm gonna be the MC for this place now."
He just gets up on stage,
calling women out and just singing awful 4 or 5 minute songs that no one wants to hear.
And by the way, if this took place in 1998 or 2000, whatever the hell time frame it's supposed to be. Now, I've never been to a strip club. I will admit it.
Oh, really?
Never been to a strip club.
We gotta change that.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, we'll talk about that off mic.
Where, and again, maybe this might be a thing in like Chicago or something, but I've never heard of blues music and strippers combined in the same venue.
I haven't, unless we're talking about burlesque.
Right. Burlesque is a different story. But I'm talking about what we saw in this movie where they're playing, Blues Brothers style music, and the girls are trying to dance and be provocative with that stuff.
Sexy.
I'm expecting girls to be dancing to like "I'm Too Sexy" or something like Janet Jackson's "Nasty" or like something that's a little bit more obvious.
It's the late '90s, like maybe some hip hop and R&B.
Right. But I've never like. Why would you take the music from a 1980 movie and make it strippers try to dance to it?
Yeah, you can't do that. It's it's just off-putting.
What are you trying to say?
I saw your watch just like bugging out. I'm just gesturing like John, trying to get his attention to his watch.
I wasn't going on that long of a tirade.
No. It was. I was trying to get your
Siri
attention
was
to the watch.
trying to get in on the discussion.
Yeah. Anyway, he goes up and he just sings these Blues Brothers songs that doesn't match the vibe of the venue. Now that's fine. Let's just say that's fine.
We'll let it go.
Elwood then takes it upon himself. You know what? I'm going to help Willie out. I'm going to do him a solid, and I'm going to fix his problems. And he goes and he gets the Russian guys drunk, and he takes them out back, and he ties them up and takes their clothes and leaves them in the alley.
Behind the strip club.
Bad move. Like what Willie said, Willie said I'm fine.
Right.
He
should have left well enough alone. Because of this, the Russian mob comes and burns down Willie's bar. Right. Oh, and let's not forget the chase scene right after they burn the bar down.
Oh, boy. So
where John Goodman tried to eat the carpet tacks.
And they're not even carpet tacks. They're drywall nails.
Yeah.
The drywall nails. So they're getting chased by the Russian mob away from the strip club, and John Goodman takes the carpet tacks and throws them out of the side window, and just think of like nails.
Yeah, or
just
like
when old nails.
If the police throw the spike strip out,
Not even that.
But no, like a car would drive over it, and then the tires would go flat, and the car stays on all fours, and that's it.
Sure, yeah, I'll give you that. But these weren't even that severe.
No,
it's just nails just strewn randomly on the pavement.
Right.
And this car drives over it, and what happens? It gets launched. It gets launched 20 feet in the air. I'm not exaggerating.
He is not exaggerating.
20
folks.
feet in the air, and it spins. It gives like I think a 360 in the air.
Yeah.
It lands on its roof, slides across,
and all the people inside just get out like a little shook up, but they just get right out of the car.
They get right out of the car.
They would be mincemeat if when the car landed on its roof, they would be just done.
Dead.
And then I also love the other Russian guy gently jogging over to see if he could help. He wasn't running with any sense of purpose. Just, let's see, we're going to go see if my comrades are all right. Okay.
Listening to John and I describe this, you might think, sounds funny, sounds hilarious.
Don't bother watching this.
You'd be wrong. Don't watch this.
Well, wait. Don't watch this unless you've had copious amounts of alcohol. And I mean, I'll be honest, I have never smoked weed or done anything else like that. But if that's your thing and that gives you patience and makes everything more funny, then by all means, do you.
Oh, boy.
Do what you want. Get yourself into your own special happy place if you want to watch this movie.
My happy place is not this movie.
Now, okay.
So it's Elwood,
right,
revisiting his friends and ruining their lives to trick them into joining the band with him.
Right. And I will totally give the original Blues Brothers the edge because they had that sort of altruistic vision of saving the orphanage. They had a plan. They were on a mission from God.
They were on a mission from God.
With this, I don't even know what this was.
Aimless. They just getting together to play a battle of the bands, I think.
I don't even know if that's what it was. I literally do not remember if they established. I just remember they set up the two gigs,
one at the stunt car place.
Right, which by the way, they got booked as the Bluegrass Brothers instead of the Blues Brothers. Way too close in plot to the old one where they had to get up and do country western music.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, the guy that ran, I think it was the same venue, because it was the guy who ran it was the same one who was their waiter. That
makes sense. Yeah, because he said, I recognize
I know you guys.
Yeah. Well, shit, dude. Well, at this time though, when they played this venue as the Bluegrass Brothers, they summoned ghosts.
Oh, what the hell was all that?
Fucking playing this bluegrass song, and I'm not even sure I would call that bluegrass.
No.
But
it was no different than Rawhide was to country and western music from the 1980 version.
So they play in this venue. We just glossed over the stunt before that. Oh, there's so much bullshit that's happened in this movie. What is happening?
How did you make me watch?
The submarine section where they were driving underwater.
How could we forget that?
Oh, my God. Glossing over all that, they're playing this venue at this monster truck rally. They bring everybody to the front of the stage, and they've got a nice crowd going, and they're playing their bluegrass, and then rain
Which
cloud.
Which is one song, by the way.
One song that happens to summon rain clouds that roll over the top of the stage.
And then it was what? Skeleton horses?
Skeleton cowboys on skeleton horses the horses were breathing fire out of their noses.
Right.
Rain started coming down. There was a sniper trying to take out Elwood. Jesus, dude.
And then Elwood whips out a freaking remote control that looked like it came with an RC, that looked like it came with like a little toy thing, and he drives their $500 shitbox up to the stage.
Yeah.
The remote control capabilities alone would have easily cost 3 times the value of the car.
I'm trying to suspend disbelief just for the sake of the enjoyment of the film.
I don't know that the movie deserves that.
But it got real. It got real bad.
Okay. I think we should leave some things out. You know, like just if the people who listen to this really do want to sit through this movie and see this,
let's not go through.
We ought to leave some surprises.
Beat by beat. I want to talk about what was my final straw, though.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to skip to, because then we got to do numbers on this thing, because I am dying to do numbers on this.
Okay.
Okay. What broke the straw for you?
Okay, I will tell you, because I think that's what led us to turning the movie off.
Yes.
But I know there were several times where you were at your breaking point.
Right, because I have very little patience for a bad movie when it's just really bad.
I have great patience for most movies.
I think I needed more alcohol, but that's it.
Yeah. So, what was your breaking point? What was your first breaking point, rather? Because we exchanged a couple of looks, and then you.
My first breaking point was the song in the
Foxy.
Well, that was one of them, but I think my first real breaking point was the song in the call center when they were singing that, like, 867-5309 or whatever the hell the song was.
Yeah.
And it was like, you know, like Ed's Love Connection or some shit. And it was, and like all the phones and computers weren't even connected.
Yeah.
You know, and I was like, okay, this is really, really dumb. And I mean, we had already seen a couple of horrible songs leading up to that one.
So much bullshit.
But then I was like, okay, my investment in this is waning very, very fast.
Yeah, they showed up to ask for, I think, the keyboard player.
Yeah.
But they showed up on the same day that they were filming a commercial, and they just happened to burst out into choreographed song.
But they didn't say that.
No,
they didn't say that. Like that wasn't indicated in the plot thing. So they burst out into song, right? And then the next thing you know is you see the guy who runs the place in front of a TV camera, and they're rolling the number across the bottom of the screen. So they turned it into a commercial.
Why was he on the dolly playing the guitar?
I think that was Johnny Lang.
That might have been Johnny Lang. I don't know who Johnny Lang is, but
He's a blues singer.
He looked like a Johnny Lang, and
Yeah.
he, for some reason, he was being pushed around on a dolly playing electric guitar.
And he is a way better singer than he is a lip syncer.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah. But that was probably my first significant tipping
Really,
point.
I thought that broke you a little earlier than that.
I mean, I was on thin ice, but then when Aretha did her Respect,
Brought you back.
it brought me back.
That brought me back too.
Yeah. But what was your breaking point?
My breaking point was the Revival Church.
Oh yeah, I was almost completely done at that point. But
So
go ahead.
Let's just set the scene here. Cab. What was his son's name?
Something similar.
Joe. Yeah, let's just call him Cab.
I think it was like Cabacious or something.
He was the police captain that Buster Blues lifted the wallet from. Elwood
Cable Chamberlain.
Cable Chamberlain. Elwood came and said, "Hey, my mentor, my father figure, went and fucked your mom, and you showed up. So, by the transitive property, we're brothers. Join my band."
That was your breaking point?
And no. I'm just setting the scene for the listeners here.
Okay.
So that guy got real. Man, think you said that about my mom? No, get out of here. I'm not loaning you any money. I'm throwing you out of the police station. Anyway,
and by the way, just for the record, because this is going to come into play in a few minutes, he is an Illinois state police officer. Mm-hmm. Okay, state trooper for Illinois. Go ahead.
So Elwood goes on his adventures, and he's picking up other band members, all the while being pursued by Cable throughout Illinois.
And more cops. Every time you see Cable show up, there's more and more cops.
More cops. Now, it looked like they crossed out of Illinois into Indiana.
Right. When they went to that the restaurant there where Elwood came out covered in shaving cream, that was weird.
I laughed out loud at that.
Oh, me too. But Cable pulls up to them in an Indiana state police cruiser.
Yeah.
He's an Illinois state police officer. He pulls up in an Indiana state police cruiser.
He's a captain of the state police.
Or he's a commander, I think. Whatever.
Sure, whatever.
They're still in fucking Illinois. So why is he coming? He's an Illinois state trooper in an Indiana state trooper car.
Right. All of this.
What the fuck?
All of this to say,
is there anyone who paid attention to details of the fucking script?
Certainly not fucking Dan Aykroyd.
He wrote it.
Ugh.
He was one of the writers.
All this to say, Cable has been pursuing them from Illinois, from Chicago, all through Illinois, all through Indiana. I don't know what state they're in when they go to the Revival Church, but this is the Blues Brothers Band nemesis. This guy is pursuing them, trying to arrest them the whole time.
Right.
The Blues Brothers Band runs out of gas. They walk down a country road. They get to a Revival Church.
Like a tent revival.
Tent revival. They go in, they sit down, and one of the pastors in the choir, they do a pretty nice upbeat gospel number.
Oh, that was really good.
Yeah, but it was a refrain from the opening song. John the Revelator wrote the Book of Seven Seals.
Something like that.
Blah 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 blah. That was the song that they were doing.
Right.
It was the gospel version of it. So they're all up and dancing. Everybody's having a good time. And who shows up but the po-po? The police show up. Cable is in the lead. They all crowd into the church or crowd in the tent, and they stop the service. Like, we're here to arrest these Blues Brothers because they're sinners. Or because they're criminals.
Yeah.
And then Cleophas James, Cleophas James Brown comes out and says, "He who is without sin cast the first stone," and starts pointing at Cable. And then the other pastor says, "Oh, who's without sin cast the first stone," and then points at Cable.
And by the way, every time they point at Cable, it looks like they're like shooting him with some kind of invisible ray, because Cable goes back like, ugh.
Now, you say invisible ray, but like they point sharply at him, and it looks like Cable is affected physically. He just like he gets a little jolt.
He recoils from it.
He recoils. He gets a little jolt, and they start singing. James Brown and the other pastor, they start singing, and the choir starts singing, and they keep pointing at him and pointing at him and pointing at him until eventually sparks start flying out of Cable, out of the police captain or commander, and it starts enveloping him in sparks, and he rises up through the tent like he is a corporeal ghost. He goes up high into the sky. It's broad day. It's broad daylight out.
And horrifically green screened, he stands up there and he's like, I see it. I see it now. I see it. This is my purpose.
I absolutely, positively, blah, 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 blah.
And then instantly, quick changes into a Blues Brothers outfit, black tux, black suit, white shirt, black tie, sunglasses, and hat, floats back down into the church to tent revival.
And I was on the edge. I'm like,
I had asked you if you were ready to stop it at that point.
And I'm like, let's see how this plays out. I was about done, but I wanted to see how it plays out. So Cable comes down. He's now in Blues Brothers garb, and he does a front flip onto the stage.
He does. It's like 4 or 5 flips.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a quick one. It was
microphone appears in hand.
Right.
And then starts singing along with Cleophas James Brown, and the other pastor, and they start singing about the revelation of John, and they're just going hard. They're going real hard. And then his deputy, Cable's deputy, says, they brainwashed the captain. They brainwashed the commander. Arrest all of them. And they start bum rushing the Blues Brothers.
And then, of course,
one
of the guys gets gas for the Bluesmobile, crashes through the tent revival.
How did he know to do that? How did he know to do that?
Everybody else walked up to the tent revival, and he stayed behind. Blue Lou Marini actually stayed behind to get gas for the Bluesmobile. Then he comes in, crashes through the thing. Everybody gets in, and then the car doesn't just drive out of the tent.
It bursts out like a bullet out of a cannon.
It launches. It launches out of the tent, and that's when I saw you. You just start shaking your head, and you're like, "Nope, nope,
nope."
And that's the moment we stopped.
That's when we stopped it. And there's 30 some minutes left.
37
in the
minutes
film.
left, and I don't know if I am ever going to watch that 37 minutes.
I will, because I want to hear the conversation that happens directly after that.
Okay.
I want to see how they go. Well, it's not gonna be tonight. It's not gonna be tomorrow.
No.
It's gonna be probably this weekend. I'm gonna get good and liquored up.
Okay. Well, let me know how that goes.
Oh my God.
I just do that at home. Because you're probably gonna need a lot of liquor to accomplish that.
Yeah. A whole bottle of Jack.
Yeah.
Anyway,
are we ready to do numbers? On this?
Let's do the numbers.
Oh,
Fuck
yes.
this movie.
Fuck this movie with something.
With a stolen dick.
Yeah, because it's not worth either.
I'm not fucking with mine.
No, mine either. All right, so numbers-wise, those of you that are interested, if you go to casualmovieclub.com, click on the leaderboard, you can see how we rank this movie amongst the others. And which is good, because I know last week on True Lies episode, we were kind of bummed at how low those ratings were. Well, I think it's pretty safe to say this movie will not be better than True Lies. So this is going to help True Lies, because it'll put it up a notch. So, we got to find the good in everything here. So on the leaderboard, we're going to look at things like the acting. We're going to give a score to things like the acting. So how well did the actors convey the story? How believable were they? What was the script, like the quality of the writing of the script? Things like the presentation, the editing, and visual effects usage. Was it too much, not enough? How was the visual element of it? Music and sound, all the goodies for your ears. So the soundtrack, the sound effects, score, and music, all that good stuff. How was that stuff? The uniqueness. Has this type of thing been done before? Also something we're calling the engagement factor. So how engaged were you? How drawn into this movie were you? And then we're going to average that all up and give it a total score. So, Brian, how would you like to start with acting?
We touched on this earlier, where Elwood Dan Aykroyd, was more like a doppelganger of Elwood Blues.
Almost like it was a twin brother.
Almost like he was a twin brother. John Goodman, a poor replacement for John Belushi.
Yeah. Why didn't they get like Jim Belushi?
From what I read in the IMDb trivia, Jim Belushi said no.
Good decision.
He is the guy that's been doing the Blues Brothers act with Dan Aykroyd since John Belushi died.
Really?
So imagine that.
So he said no to being in the movie, but he's doing it.
But Dan Aykroyd said, I'm going to do it anyway.
Huh. Wow.
Yeah. All right. So fuck that.
Yeah.
Acting, it wasn't great.
No, it wasn't.
I don't expect the musicians to be great actors because that's not their forte.
They had small parts anyway.
They had small parts anyway, but the people that should have been better actors just weren't. The delivery was wooden. It was just not good. The strippers were terrible. I didn't like it, John. I'd give the acting a 2.
That is generous. That is, and for those who have been listening in, we are giving each other one take backsies for each for each time we do our numbers here. So just let you know, Brian, if you do want to change anything later, you certainly can.
I'll qualify that with I've seen far worse, but this is bad.
Okay. So I'm going to agree with a lot of that. I'm going to score it similarly. I have seen far worse as well, but not that far worse. I'm going 1.75.
Okay.
So the script, how well was the dialogue written? I got to say, I'm very disappointed in Dan Aykroyd because he is capable of so much better. And like when you see things like the Ghostbusters movies and, movies that he had an active role in developing the script for, he is very good at technical writing. He's very good at writing stuff that makes a lot of sense. And Elwood, in a couple of scenes in this movie, had a few kind of technical diatribes where he went off on whatever. And these diatribes were just completely out of the blue and completely unnecessary. And it was almost like Dan Aykroyd wrote those little diatribes in there just for the purpose of saying, yes, I'm Dan Aykroyd, and yes, I can still, ramble off on these overly technical and detail-filled diatribes.
Yeah.
But they made no sense being in there whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
Script 1.5.
Script 1.5. Ooh. I can't help but echo everything that you've said already. I've seen Dan Aykroyd write far better things than this. I know that he had a hand in writing Coneheads. I know he had a hand in writing the Ghostbuster movies. I don't know if he wrote anything with the Eddie Murphy movie he was in. Was it Perfect Strangers?
Or Trading Places?
Trading Places, yeah.
That's a great movie.
Yeah, it's such a good movie, but I don't think he had any writing.
I don't think so.
To do in that, but such a good actor in it, though. Script. This is about script, though.
Yeah.
It's far fucking out there. There wasn't any fantastical, magical elements in this that kind of stuff was unforgivable to me, considering the Blues Brothers and who they are and what they stand for.
Yep.
For me, I would give this script a 1 star.
Wow. Okay.
I was insulted.
Considering that they wanted to use this as part of the Blues Brothers franchise, I can definitely see how you'd be insulted.
And Jim Belushi said no.
Right. That should have been a sign right there. That should have been a freaking sign.
According to Jim, no.
Right. So talk to me about presentation. What did you think about editing and visual effects usage?
Editing was terrible. Everything was just disjointed. One thing in particular that just now this might be more of a script thing, but the editing on this really fucked me up. They're playing the Blues Brothers, the Bluegrass Brothers gig, right?
Yeah.
There's a monster truck. There is monster truck stunts. They're crushing cars, all this stuff. And then there is one last stunt before the band goes on. It's the stunt driver that does 3 loop-to-loops in a flaming car, and then they do a jump, and the car is supposed to land while on fire. John Goodman, Elwood, and the kid, they sneak into the fair in their car, the Bluesmobile. They have it painted, but they sneak in, and Elwood says, "Oh my God, remember his face in the glove compartment?"
Oh,
we
God.
We didn't even cover that. There's so much bullshit in this
God.
fucking catastrophe of a film. Anyway, so they edited... The cut was from them parking their car to the stunt happening, and the 3 of them are in this stunt car. How did that happen?
Oh, yeah.
Like, tell me the story of how that happened. I don't care if it's not like.
Right? Did they bind and gag the guy that was supposed to do it, and then they steal his car? Like, give me some context of how they wound up in this car.
Yeah. So that kind of stuff really fucked me up. The green screen wasn't that bad. I mean, it wasn't great.
Yeah.
But it really wasn't that bad either. But again, I really didn't like it. If anything, the presentation of this was probably the best part about it. So I would give it a 2.5.
Okay. So
we're on. I don't want to color your opinion at all.
Okay.
I'm done. So fuck this movie.
I didn't have I had a problem with some of there were some effects that were just blatantly wrong. Like, for example, when they came out of the restaurant and they were doing donuts in the Bluesmobile, I know enough about driving to know that when you're doing donuts, your rear wheels are spinning really fast, so therefore they've broken traction, and you're not spinning on a single axis. You're spinning kind of in an oval, if that makes sense, because your front wheels are still turning. But they come out, and the Bluesmobile is literally spinning on a single axis like a fucking merry-go-round. That was horrible. That was horrible. So that's just one thing that jumps out at me. I agree with a lot of pretty much everything else you said. Presentation, I'm giving them I feel like a 2 is too generous, but I'm giving them a 2.
All right.
Music and sound, this in my mind is going to be one of the redeeming factors, because I am a musician, so I have a soft spot for musicians and music and sound, and I have my degree in music production, so like this is totally my area, my thing. It's my bag. The live performances, the lip syncing was horrendous, but the live performances were really cool. Aretha Franklin was great to see. The sound mix was fine. I had no issues with it whatsoever. I definitely take points off for the lip syncing, but other than that, I really don't have much problem with the sound effects and you've mentioned in previous episodes that a good score is one that doesn't jump out. I really don't even remember any aspect of a score with this, other than just the individual, numbers that they sing. So,
right.
I'm going to give music and sound 3.5.
Ooh. This. I disagree with a lot of your points. Aretha was the only redeeming factor on this. The lip syncing took away from it, but lip syncing is more of a presentation thing than anything else. If I'm just going off the soundtrack alone, John Goodman's "I'm Looking for a Fox" was a real stinker.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. I was unimpressed, and it pains me to say this, but I was unimpressed with the James Brown gospel song.
He seemed to have a very small part in this.
He had a very small part in it. And that's very disappointing to me because I love James Brown. James Brown has a high energy performer.
Oh, yeah.
A notorious taskmaster also. Like he demands perfection from his backing band. Not a lot of James Brown though. The song in the Love Connection place was not great to me. I didn't like it. I didn't like it.
But just remember, we're grading the actual sound itself, not necessarily the writing of the songs or anything like that. Just want to clarify.
Sure. And as far as sound effects go, no complaints there. There's nothing really that jumped out at me that was bad or good, for that matter. I don't recall any score. There was a few recognizable Blues Brothers numbers, especially during chase scenes and things like that.
Right.
But that didn't add or detract from the scenes that they were in.
Okay.
So really all I'm focused on is, based off of everything that I've just laid out,
right,
the only thing I can really score is the songs themselves. So I would give the soundtrack, I would give the music and sound a 3.
Okay.
A 3 even.
Okay, that's fair.
And that, I feel that's generous. And that's based on Aretha.
Yeah, I would agree with that, and you know, I based a lot of mine on just the musicians themselves and the effort.
Yeah,
you know, because they clearly put more effort in the music than everything else, like the plot and other things. So, Brian, uniqueness, has this been done before?
Well, I want to say that this has been done before with the original Blues Brothers, but right, it strays a lot in spirit. They're trying to do a repeat, and they're just missing all of the things that made the first one so magical. It just wasn't funny.
Yeah,
it wasn't funny at all. There was some gags in the first one that just made it funny, and this one just didn't have that.
Yeah.
So it's only unique as far as what it's doing for what it's trying to what the first one didn't do.
Yeah.
And that there's not a lot of that.
Yeah.
But there's no other movie like it though.
Yeah.
There really isn't. So at least none that I can think of. So based off of that, it's unique, but it isn't. So I'll give it a 3.
Okay. So I was about to echo your 3, but I'm going to take points off because it is an insult to how great the original Blues Brothers movie was.
Agreed.
So it is unique in that it's the only uniqueness is that it is trying to what's the saying? Ride on the coattails.
Ride on the coattails. Yeah,
ride on the coattails of where it came from, but falls so far short. Uniqueness is 2 for me. Engagement factor, I had checked out fairly early in this movie. I'm going to keep this short and sweet. Engagement factor 1.75, because there was I had a little bit of curiosity to say, like, what is going to happen next? What's going to happen? You know, where are they going to go from here? But the fact that I wanted to stop the movie so early on is pretty much an indicator that I shouldn't give it anything higher than a 1.75.
Yeah. My morbid curiosity is it kept me going, but a man can only be pushed so far. It would be difficult for me to even have this on in the background. But I am going to go back to it, and I am going to finish this, but I'm going to need to build up some courage.
Liquid courage.
Liquid courage.
Right.
I'm going to score this. This was bad. It's really bad, but I do want to finish it. So based off that, my engagement score is a 2.
All right. The numbers are in, ladies and gentlemen. Do we have any take backsies before we make it official?
No.
Yeah, me neither. I feel good about this. So
I don't feel good about this.
The numbers are in. You liked the movie more than I did.
I can see that.
Yeah. So you have a total average of 2.25. I have a total average of 2.08. The numbers are in. Acting is 1.88. Script 1.25. Presentation 2.25. Music and sound 3.25. Uniqueness 2.5. Engagement factor 1.88 for a grand total of 2.17, making this our lowest rated movie on the Casual Movie Club.
Shit. 2.17.
This means Wild Wild West and Persona and Dennis the Menace were better than Blues Brothers 2000.
Well, duh.
I would easily watch Persona over this if I had to pick between these
Well,
two.
we disagreed on Persona. I liked it far more than you did.
True. All right, so that's the numbers for Blues Brothers 2000, and now the only thing left here before we pick, actually only 2 things left to do before we pick our next movie. We want to hear from you guys.
Yes.
So if you guys want to reach out to us, tell us what you think. Did you see all of Blues Brothers 2000? Do you think we rated it too low? Do you think we rated it too high? Tell us. Let us know. Reach out to us on Twitter or Instagram at Casual Movie Club. You can go to casualmovieclub.com and communicate with us on there. We have a contact page there. You can also see our previous episodes on the blog, look at our leaderboard, and that sort of thing. You can also give us a call or leave us a voicemail, which you actually got a voicemail. I don't think it was in English, but we did get a voicemail. But what phone number, Brian, can we use for the voicemail?
402-882-2742. That's 402-882-2742. Leave us a voicemail or send us a text message.
Absolutely. We would love to hear back from you guys. And also, if you're on Twitter and you are watching a movie and you happen to pause that movie at a funny facial expression, definitely take a picture of that, post it on Twitter, and tag us. And, you can come up with whatever hashtag you want, but definitely tag us at Casual Movie Club if you capture a funny still from a movie. Because the other day, I actually got a phone call. So I was watching an episode of The X-Files. I know it wasn't the movie, but I paused it, and Mulder had a really funny facial expression on his face. So send those to us because we definitely want to see them. Nice. And we may share the best ones that we get on Instagram.
Nice.
So I think we are going to pick our next movie.
Yeah.
And by we, I mean me.
It's all you.
Yeah.
It's all you this week.
Yeah.
Maybe next week we'll go back to randomization or something.
Now, here's the question. Do we want to go and redeem with a good movie, or do we want to do another bad movie? Because I have we've got a list that we've both been adding to that have a bunch of really good movies and a bunch of really bad movies. So I'm wondering if we want to keep going with the bad or do something good.
I don't know if I'm allowed any input.
I will consider your input. I will consider your input. So go ahead. What do you think?
I think the bad movies sometimes are more interesting to talk about. But what was the last good movie we did? Oh, True Lies. True Lies was a great movie.
Yeah.
I don't know. Why don't we do try to do a classic, like a classic film?
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking that might be cool. But there's also a really good cheesy bad movie that might be fun to do.
What are you thinking? If you say it, we will do it.
I'm going to hold off on that one.
All right.
I vote for Batman from 1966.
Oh, the Adam West Batman?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I've never seen that.
Oh, it's good. I enjoy it.
I'm a Batman fan.
Good, me too. So next week, we're going to do Batman from 1966. Adam West, Burt Ward, Burgess Meredith, Cesar Romero. Just classic
Shit, John.
movie.
All right.
we need to redeem ourselves.
Yeah.
So that being said, we've got our movie picked for next week. For the very first time, we did not do a complete movie here on Casual Movie Club, but hey, that's okay. We're keeping it casual.
I'll report back.
Yeah, you could report back next week on the ending of the Blues Brothers. So if you guys have any suggestions for movies you'd like to hear us do, good movies, bad movies, any kind of movies, definitely reach out to us at all the different ways that I mentioned to you before, casualmovieclub.com. You can also find us, find our podcast on many different platforms by going to our website, casualmovieclub.com, and then scroll all the way to the bottom where there are a whole host of links to places like iTunes, Google Play, TuneIn, Stitcher, YouTube, Spotify, and iHeartRadio, where you can find Brian and my shenanigans for your listening pleasure.
Nice.
So on that note, have a fabulous rest of your day. Go watch a movie that's better than this one, and I'll see you next time.
All right. We'll see you later.